How a frustrated customer built Uber. Imagine being stuck in the rain, waving frantically at taxis that just won't stop, or watching a cab drive past you, empty, while you're desperate to get home. Frustrating, right? Well, back in 2008, one man faced this exact problem and decided to do something about it. The result? A multi-billion-dollar company that changed the way we travel forever. This is the story of how a frustrated customer built Uber. Today, we're diving deep into how one frustrating night in Paris sparked the birth of Uber, how it disrupted the taxi industry, and what we can learn from this incredible entrepreneurial journey. So buckle up, because this ride is going to be legendary. Before we start this inspiring story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out our more inspiring stories of world-changing businesses. LTSs, get into it. The birth of an idea. Uber's journey began in Paris in 2008 during the Liweb Tech Conference, an event known for bringing together innovators to shape the future. Travis Kalanick and Garrett, two entrepreneurs who had recently sold their startups for substantial sums. Kalanick's Red Swoosh to Akamai Technologies and Camp's Stumble Upon to eBay were attending the event when they encountered a common frustration. They couldn't find a cab. This moment sparked a groundbreaking idea. What if you could request a ride with your phone? Initially, their vision was a timeshare limousine service accessible via an app. After the conference, they went their separate ways, but the idea stuck with Camp. Upon returning to San Francisco, he continued refining the concept and eventually purchased the domain ubercab.com, setting the foundation for what would become Uber. Early development and expansion. By 2009, while still leading Stumble Upon, Camp began developing a prototype for UberCab. By mid-year, he persuaded Kalanick to join as the company's chief incubator. The initial service was tested in New York in early 2010 with just 3 vehicles. The official launch occurred in May 2010 in San Francisco, and soon after, the name was streamlined to Uber. Ryan Graves played a crucial role in Uber's early days, serving as general manager before becoming its first CEO in early 2010. However, by December that year, Kalanick stepped in as CEO while Graves transitioned to a senior operations role. Uber's success was largely driven by the simplicity of its app. Users could summon a ride with a tap, GPS would pinpoint their location, and fares were automatically billed to their registered card. In 2010, Uber secured its first major funding, a $1.3 million investment led by First Round Capital. In early 2011, it raised an additional $11 million in a Series A round spearheaded by Benchmark. The company quickly expanded to major US cities like New York, Seattle, Boston, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. International expansion soon followed, beginning in Paris, where the concept had initially taken shape. By the end of 2011, Uber had raised $37 million in Series B financing from Menlo Ventures, Jeff Bezos, and Goldman Sachs. In 2012, Uber diversified its offerings by launching UberX, a more affordable alternative using hybrid vehicles instead of premium black cars. From startup to global giant, by July 2015, Uber had become the world's most valuable startup, reaching a $51 billion valuation. The company continued securing massive investments, including a $3.5 billion infusion from Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund in June 2016. However, Uber's aggressive expansion came at a cost. In 2017, it disclosed to Bloomberg that it had suffered a global loss of $3.8 billion in 2016, including losses from its China division, which it had sold earlier that year. Excluding China, Uber's adjusted net loss stood at $2.8 billion. By 2018, Uber's valuation had dipped from $68 billion to $48 billion. Japanese conglomerate SoftBank, alongside Dragoneer Investment Group and other investors, capitalized on this downturn by acquiring 20% of Uber's stock at a discounted valuation. SoftBank alone secured a 15% stake, positioning itself as a significant strategic partner in Asia. During this period, Uber faced significant hurdles, including a fatal accident involving one of its self-driving cars. Additionally, in August 2018, New York City imposed a moratorium on new licenses for ride-hailing services like Uber and Lyft, signaling growing regulatory resistance. Despite these challenges, Uber proceeded with its highly anticipated initial public offering, IPO, in May 2019. The IPO was historically significant but underwhelming. Once valued as high as $120 billion by Wall Street analysts, Uber debuted at around $69 billion, falling well short of expectations. As of August 5th, 2024, Uber's market capitalization had rebounded to over $120 billion. Leadership shakeup, Kalanick's exit, and Khosrow Shahi's rise. Uber's troubles escalated in 2017 when a former female engineer published a viral blog post detailing a toxic and sexist workplace culture. Her allegations sparked widespread criticism and led to an internal investigation known as the Holder Report. Spearheaded by former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, the inquiry resulted in 47 recommendations aimed at reforming Uber's corporate environment and led to the dismissal of over 20 employees. Subsequent controversies further tarnished Uber's image. Leaked internal communications suggested that the company's problematic culture stemmed from the highest levels, including Kalanick himself. A particularly damaging moment came when Kalanick was caught on video berating an Uber driver over fare reductions. In June 2017, shareholder pressure forced Kalanick to resign. After a brief search, Dara Khosrowshahi, then CEO of Expedia, was appointed as Uber's new leader. An Iranian-American immigrant, Khosrowshahi had an extensive background in finance and corporate leadership, having served as CFO of IAC Interactive Corp before leading Expedia for over a decade. Ongoing controversies and legal battles. Uber has faced strong opposition from taxi operators and regulators. To navigate political challenges, it hired David Plouffe, a former Obama strategist. Its surge pricing model, which raises fares during high demand, sparked outrage, especially during New Year's Eve 2011 and a 2013 snowstorm. In response, Uber agreed to cap surge pricing in emergencies. The company also clashed with regulators globally, facing protests in major cities. In 2017, it lost its London license, affecting 40,000 drivers, but regained it in 2018 under probation. Calls for fair compensation and worker rights. In New York, it became publicly known that Uber had mistakenly charged drivers' commissions based on pre-tax earnings instead of after-tax earnings, at a cost of tens of millions of dollars to New York drivers. The company said it was an accounting error and that it was committed to paying its drivers back in full as quickly as possible. The issue also raised questions about the fairness of who pays the taxes. Driver advocacy groups have argued for some time that Uber is avoiding a tax at the expense of its drivers, something the New York Times found evidence to support. The paper estimated that Uber's miscalculation could have cost drivers hundreds of millions of dollars. In 2017, a New York judge ruled that Uber drivers should be considered employees instead of independent contractors, at least in some instances. That decision opened up the possibility for drivers to receive employee benefits, which would likely have had a significant impact on the company's bottom line. Meanwhile, California voters passed Proposition 22 in November 2020, allowing companies like Uber to classify their workers as independent contractors in the gig economy and not as full-time employees. The Uber-backed ballot measure became the costliest in California history, with more than $200 million spent on campaigning for it. The constitutionality of Proposition 22 was immediately challenged, but a California appeals court ruled in March 2023 that it was largely constitutional and would remain in effect. In July 2024, the California Supreme Court upheld that decision. Looking ahead, Uber has continually adapted to legal, financial, and cultural challenges while remaining one of the most recognizable names in the transportation industry. Despite numerous setbacks, leadership changes, and regulatory battles, it continues to shape the future of mobility worldwide. And just like that, a simple idea, born from frustration, changed the way we move forever. From a late-night struggle in Paris to a global phenomenon, Uber's story is proof that the best businesses often start with a personal problem. What do you think? Could Uber exist without that one frustrating night? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more incredible business stories, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload. See you in the next one.